Nathan Robinson makes a point where he's like, if you're criticizing the way I look, you're just trying to avoid dealing with my points. And I actually find that really annoying because that's absolutely what happens every time. But my counter argument is, look at that fucking hat.
Well, he does it on purpose so he can use that as a shield, right?
Yeah, that's actually where hashtag not my shield came from.
Have you guys ever seen that parody Nathan J. Robinson parody account that pretends to be him? He's got the same profile picture, same name, but people will tag him instead, like yelling at him, and then this guy will just like go off because he's just like kind of a like I'm not saying this in a bad way, but he's kind of just like very abrasive and kind of a jackass. And it's so funny when people confuse him for the real Nathan Robinson.
There was kind of a sweet detente between the two of them because the fake Nathan Robinson ended up in the hospital for some serious malady. I don't know exactly what.
Yeah,
but he posted a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, Nathan Robinson took him out.
But Nathan was actually like, yeah, I sure hope he's okay. Like, he drives me crazy, but I don't want him to die. But now that I've learned that it was actually him,
the funniest bit would have been to just like delight in his pain.
No, they have like a Batman and Joker relationship. Like the real Nathan does not want his Joker to die.
The real Nathan sent a group of fancy lads over there to beat him with like silver canes.
Yeah, but they didn't kill him.
The guys from Clockwork Orange. Jesus.
Yeah, I love those that Nathan feud. The two Nathans, the tale of two Nathans.
Always wonder with things like this, if I had friends in real life, whether I'd find it so interesting. Guess I'll never know.
Are you talking about like Twitter bullshit?
Yeah, like
oh no,
I had friends who had like that I saw.
Oh no! I mean, I have friends I see, and I still can't get this out of my head. Like this is
June,
so
you're
wonderful.
Like you are a person without really any corollary. Like there's no one. No, I've never met anyone who exists in the same way that you do, who can be so totally online, and then when I see you in person, you don't touch your phone for hours. It's like magic. It's like magic.
Yeah. I intentionally do that. If I'm with a person in real life, I don't look at my phone. Like at all, unless it's like important that I like look at my phone for something.
If I'm like, it depends on the situation. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. It depends, especially if it's a Saturday or Sunday, I can go without it. I think the excuse I use in my brain is, I might have a work email, which is why I'm on like the Bastard Talk podcast, reading the comments of the Bastard Talk or something. I don't know. That's not a real podcast, but you know my point. Like
it could easily be, and that says a lot. That says a lot about society that it could have been a real one.
Yeah, exactly. That says so much.
Once I had kids, I was just like, well, I have permission to always check my phone in case it's a kid's emergency. But it's just
what if something happens with my child?
Terrible behavior.
For me, that's like
I'm like on a first date, and I'm like, hang on, babe, I've got to check to see what these people are talking about. They think that Wi-Fi is making us gay. I'll be right back.
it's work stuff. It's important work business. Yeah.
There's definitely been a time where I've been like, it's work stuff, and I've looked at it, and I've gone in there being like, this is work stuff, I need to check this email, I'm actually expecting this. Then I get diverted by something not remotely important.
Alex, for you it's like a kid emergency. For me it's like, did I get suspended yet? Am I still on Twitter? My account's like my child, basically.
I'd say that's actually a pretty accurate assessment of your account.
Yeah, that's why I don't need a kid. I never have to have a kid. I already have one. And I already lost one of them. Got fucking clipped.
Like cat Turd's dog under the wheels of a car.
Rest in peace. What was his name? Smiles or Smiley or something like that?
Oh god.
Did you see him today? Did you see today that cat Turd was like, there's this cat in my neighborhood that's always near me, and I'm always trying to like feed it, and it got within like 1 foot of me today. I think, if it becomes my friend, I'll like take it to the vet and make sure that it has all its shots. And then everybody was like, yeah, you pervert, you're going to fucking run it over. That cat knows better than to get close to you.
Steer clear of him. Yeah, no, I think the funniest thing about like as funny as it could be to run over your own dog, like where a cat turd made that like huge
Dude, I don't know if that's very funny, dog. It's
No,
like
no, no.
way tragic.
No. Wait, hear me out.
Okay.
Where he wrote that whole essay that was like genuinely like tragic, like to run over. Like he was like, oh, it was like an accident, and I do believe it was an accident. The next day when the bridge thing happened, he said the president says it was an accident. The FBI says it was an accident. The mayor says it was an accident. That's how I know it was planned. And it's like, okay, dog, you just
killed your dog, bro.
You just wrote an essay about how you ran your dog over on an accident. Well, you can't be doing this right now. This is.
I just gotta wonder, like, if I ran over my pet, I would never post that. I don't understand that at all. There's no way I would ever, like, I have a fraction of the following that Cat Turd does. I'm just like, that is like, just like, if you're like a boss in a Super Nintendo game, you immediately start blinking red by presenting that information in your weak spot. Like, why are you posting that?
Yeah, sometimes you just don't have to say everything, you know?
Yeah.
Damn it. I can't tell if his other dog is just really fucking fat, though.
He has a bunch of dogs.
Say what you will about him, I genuinely think he probably is like a good like pet owner. I think he actually. I think that's like the one thing I know about him.
Anyone else I would have patience for, but this man is so malignant, and he's so deeply uncharitable.
That
I do not feel an iota of respect or patience with him. Like, I'm going to assume the worst in every situation, that he nailed Streaks because Streaks ate one of his Hungry Man dinners. He's like, yeah, the dog got out, wink. Oh no. Like, let your Tamagotchi die because you want a new one.
What a sad accident.
Yeah, I felt bad for him for about 45 minutes, and I was like, no, like, fuck. Because, like, I think it's just because, like, my dog is, like, rounding home, you know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, like, I look at her now, she's, like, having trouble getting upstairs and stuff right now. I'm like, God damn it, like, it's time. It's getting close, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I saw that, and I was like, man, like, maybe I'm just projecting. And then about 45 minutes later, I was like, actually, fuck this guy. Yeah, he definitely, the dog stole one of his chicken tenders.
If your dog died, he would mock you. He would be like, well, maybe it was wokeness poisoning. Maybe you gave it through your support.
Did you make your dog a vegan?
Yeah.
What if it was wokeness poisoning? The
the dog is actually the D in D&I.
His dog was showing signs of wokeness.
That's so fucking stupid. I know, I'm sorry.
Well,
they're never going to let me into Mensa.
Welcome to Western Kabuki. Jesus Christ, that was a cold open.
Talking about dog death, dog murder.
I can't wait to figure out where to start that. I'm very excited for
that. Yeah. Shit. We're joined this week by a friend of the show. You know him, you love him, the Smiling Man. Ed, how are you? And how have things been since we had you on last? Things have changed for you.
Things have been good. I mean, it's the newsletter and the podcast are growing. I think I've had a lot of fun with the newsletter recently. The last 4 have been done pretty well. Up to 25,000 subscribers. Things are looking good. I don't know what that means, though. It's not like the newsletter could be like 50,000 subscribers. I have no idea what that would actually mean long term or even short term. But it means that I now get the occasional person very angry at me, which is nice.
Dude, that screenshot that you sent me earlier today made me laugh so hard.
What was it? Well, can you read it off? Or is it like real bad?
Well, it has a certain word that I don't love saying, but I am now the R word of the year.
Oh, congrats. I'm so happy for you.
I've been fighting. I didn't think I'd make it this year, but
2024, listen, 2024 is your year.
For the R Word Awards, this is like 2007 of cinema, man. Like, this is a tough year, and you pulled it out.
Early, too.
There's a lot of us out there. No, and I got a guy who was mad at me for saying that the people who are ruining the media industry are idiots. He's like, well, they're sure making a lot of money. And it's like, Okay. I'll go and tell Cool Zone to delete the podcast. Good point, mate. I'll get an eye on that. Let me know. I've been doing this whole promo tour as well that's thankfully come to an end because it was killing me. I think I did like 20 podcasts in the space of 2 months, and I've now realized that's too many.
No. What people don't understand, talking into a microphone is probably one of the hardest things you could ever do.
It's literally the most difficult job.
Listen, as a retired construction worker, I can agree. I 100% agree. It's harder to do this than anything that I ever did. Ripping out like silt fencing in the snow, like that doesn't compare to having to talk.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Every time one of those prompts on Twitter comes up where it's the guys on the oil rig and it's like, name something harder than this, I always quote tweet it and say podcasting, and it always does numbers.
Because people understand. People are like, yes, I agree.
Yes, absolutely.
The mud men could never yap like we can. They could never dream of yapping like us.
Yeah.
We're on a different video level. Always gets responses, but you also see the people responding correctly, which is, these guys are all goddamn idiots. None of them have safety gear on. They're doing this too fast. They will get injured. And then you get someone saying, no, this being a man. And then someone will go, no, I actually work on one of these. And if someone did this for longer than 1 minute for a fucking video, they would get thrown out. Or
that response, like that cycle response, is as reliable as like the sun coming up every day. That happens like every time. And something I noticed, I've seen that video over 100 times. 100 times in the last year. I just noticed that main guy in the video is wearing a necklace that's flying around. Like, there's so many violations and so much that would like kill these dudes.
Oh yeah, if that necklace went in the wrong place,
he'd be toast. He would be in the oil.
He'd get turned into mincemeat. But one thing I will say about doing it is, it is not the hardest job. It's just talking, but at the same time, it is surprisingly tiring. Like, when I go and I do these episodes, my heart rate gets up.
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, I'll
You're
hit
passionate.
like 130. I get like 130, 140. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm like giving myself like oxygen poisoning because it's a small condensed space, or if I'm just getting too pissed off.
Well, your most recent podcast episode, and if you haven't listened, you should. This is my favorite one that you've done yet, about how the media is being ruined by idiots. And we'll probably let's talk about that now. That's a good one because, like, I think you hit your stride because, like, the passion of the subject material really came through. And not to say that your other episodes were lacking necessarily, but it's like, okay, like, this is a guy who's done this. This is a guy who, like, you can tell really feels strongly about what he's talking about. And it was just very good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then let's talk about it.
So the episode was about title something along the lines of the idiots destroying the media to please the tech industry. Mm-hmm. And it's about places like Vice and Deadspin and Kotaku and Sports Illustrated that all pretty much follow the same pattern of being acquired by someone in private equity who then immediately destroyed the website. Well,
it's happening so much lately. Like, there's probably 10 different examples in the last like year, 365 days.
Well, actually,
people probably don't know this about you, but you wrote for Deadspin, didn't you?
I did. I wrote for Deadspin. I wrote for Vice Sports.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote for... I haven't written for Defector yet, but they've been talking to me about that on and off for a while. But it's kind of, with Deadspin, we found a good thing that I could do, and we haven't found that with Defector yet. Also, like, I have a bunch of other shit I'm doing for whatever reason. I guess because I get paid. But with this episode really pissed me off because Deadspin was where I became a writer. David Roth and Barry over there, they gave me... I'm literally was about to say, like, they told me it was okay to be weird, but kind of. But they let me kind of go down a few weird rabbit holes, and a large part of that also comes from the Vice Sports, because I went to the Super Bowl one year, and they let me write about just how weird the fancy parts were. And that was a lot of fun. They let me just, like, be fucking strange in the written word, and then Roth would heavily edit and show me why he was editing. That kept going at Deadspin. So I'm very attached to it. And a lot of the writers I read there, I loved it. Like Roth, Ashley Feinberg, Barry. I mean, I think Lindsay Adler
Deadspin was so special. If you weren't around for its heyday or you missed it, I don't think it will ever get something like that again. When Deadspin was Deadspin.
It's just very frustrating because they had the best for a while. Like Lindsay Adler, who is now the head Wall Street Journal baseball writer, she came up there. Like, there is a direct pipeline from Deadspin to the rest of journalism. And Spamfella, thanks to the fallout from Gawker, the Gawker acquisition with fucking Peter Thiel, not going over it.
The same Gorka, like the Gorka.
No,
Donald
not
Trump
Sebastian Gorka. I know I have an accent.
Not that dude. Okay.
Just fucking hell. I'm the subject of discrimination. But no, so it sucks because all Spamfella had to do was nothing. He could just acquire the site and Deadspin was profitable. Same deal with Kotaku, actually. Same deal with Sports Illustrated and Vice. That's a different story, which I'll get to. But in all three of the other cases, they were profitable. All they had to do was nothing. They just had to keep funding them the same way they'd been funded and then just fucking sit there and let the money come in and let people love the brand. But because these private equity guys all think they're smart and they're absolutely fucking not, they always want to either grow at all costs, or they want to standardize. Deadspin, the big thing that broke Deadspin was Spamfella saying stick to sports. That's part of the problem, but what Spamfella also wanted to do was make it return to the standard bullshit that no one read Deadspin for. So scores, updates on news, that kind of thing. No one wanted Deadspin for that.
So I was never really a Deadspin person, but from what I understand, it was kind of like a comedic sort of like sports news site. Is that like what it was?
It was so much more than that. As a person who doesn't give a shit about sports, I would read it every day because there was
that's the thing.
There was so much in there, and like they were breaking crazy news. They broke the Manti Te'o story. They did tons and tons and tons of amazing journalism.
And then on top of that, I should probably accept that Deadspin is the reason I like sports. I was never a big sports guy before this point, but Deadspin and something they're very good at is finding the reason that people watch sports. We watch sports for the scores, but we kind of watch it for the guys who are doing stuff. For the guys we remember, of course, David Roth's remember some guys where he just listed old baseball players and talked about them, which is amazing. But we watch it for these little meta commentaries, these meta discussions, the why of these moments, what this actually means, why it matters, but also what's funny about it. They had a whole thing about Rob Gronkowski, and they just listed all the nicknames they'd ever given to Rob Gronkowski, and it was fucking great. But what Jim Spamfella saw was a problem that could only be solved by making it do the exact same dog shit that you could find literally any other sports site, because all he wanted was SEO juice. Now, the big reckoning was he fired Barry over there. The reason I'm avoiding saying Barry's second name is I cannot say it correctly, and I'm afraid of getting it wrong. It's Barry P. And if he hears this, sorry, Barry. He was my editor on the Gamer piece. He was amazing. But he fired Barry because Barry was just like, I'm going to write about whatever. And they said, you need to stick to sports. Barry got fired. Everyone quit. Now, their reaction to this was hiring a bunch of scabs. And I feel bad calling them scabs because, look, journalism fucking sucks at the moment. It really does. It stinks. It really does. But like, right now, Deadspin, as I speak even, is syndicating from a company called Field Level Media. This is such a disgraceful thing to happen. They are syndicating their shit from this generic-ass looking site. I used to go on Deadspin to find like prescient commentary on culture and sports. Now it's Padres rally past Bob Melvin, Giants. Dodgers coast past Cardinals in home opener.
Look how they massacred my
anyway. Yeah, like I went on the page too,
exactly.
Just now, and it just looks like just like a news
barren
sports
fucking wasteland.
Yeah, like I would click on nothing here. Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, I'm not a sports person either, but it's just like, yeah, it's just highlights of like sports games.
And it's because Jim Spamfella can neither read nor write, and he has absolutely no participation in the process of journalism or creating anything other than capital for other arseholes who can't read or write.
I love how much you hate that motherfucker.
I fucking despise him. For two reasons. One, he destroyed multiple properties now. He's now forcing Kotaku to move from doing the same thing that Deadspin was doing, but for games to
He's the same person?
It was all under... So when Gorka, the website, was bought by Geo Media, which was, I believe, was a newly founded company with private equity money to buy it, he took over every one of their sites. So IO9, Gizmodo, Kotaku, Deadspin, AV Club, and I'm forgetting one, but nevertheless, all of these are under that. And now Kotaku will produce 50 game guides a week. Just numpty language, dipshit talk.
Because what they care about is when I'm stuck on Elden Ring because I'm a stupid ape. Like if I'm stuck on a level in Elden Ring, I'll Google like Elden Ring how to get sword or something, and then that will come up. And they want to like shove 9 fucking ads down my throat before I get the information I came for. It's an awful experience. Nobody should have to endure that. It's terrible.
It's horrible. And I think one thing that a lot of people have learned in the last couple of years, especially through a lot of these like media shutdowns, is a lot of these like tech people have no sense of joy. They have no sense of whimsy. They have no sense of comedy or what people actually like.
I mean, this sounds a lot like getting acquired by Spotify, which happened to my show in 2019. It's not exactly the same, but I mean, the principles were the same. It was like, I worked at a startup. I started as employee number 5, and it was owned by a 20-year veteran of This American Life. And I was like, oh, okay, great. The goal of this is going to be to make great radio. But the goal of it was infinite growth. Because I remember when 2 years in, when the company hit 65 employees, I was like, we're growing too fast. We're making a lot of garbage. And they were just like, nah. But what I didn't understand at the time was that the fix was already in, because what they were trying to do was grow fast enough to be attractive to be acquired. Basically, that was their end goal. Their end goal was not to make a sustainable company. So they bought the company. Spotify did. They had no fucking clue. They had nothing but content for journalists. They didn't know what to do with us. They didn't like the fact that we asked them for interviews, even though they bought a tech show. I don't know what they thought they were doing there. And
what do you mean? Ask them for interviews in what sense?
We would ask them to comment on stories we were working on. We'd say like, hey, we're working on a story about, we were working on stories about things like AI music being put up, or like music being put up as podcasts, stuff like that. Every time I think we asked them 4 times for comment on stories, we got nothing. Which is really embarrassing to have to put out a thing which is like, our owner, Spotify, would not comment.
We asked Dad, and Dad said he was busy.
Yeah, basically. But I mean, by the end, they just
shitty.
They realized like, oh, you know what? We can pay a bunch of money up front for fucking Dax Shepard's podcast and make a bunch of money and not have to employ all these journalists who bother us and may not be a massive hit. At least a star has a built-in audience. So over the course of, I'd say 2020 to 2023 or 2021 to 2023, they laid off everybody and shut down the company that I worked for. So it doesn't exist anymore. RIP.
It does feel like
great,
a lot of these
they spent money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, they did lose
it does
$250 million buying us, but also all my friends don't have jobs.
Don't they want to make money? That's what I don't get. Like, so I mentioned Vice earlier. Now, Vice is the one that really, Corey Haik is a scumbag, and I've said this multiple times, and I believe that's covered under the law. I can call her a scumbag. I can say she's a career failure because she has failed in the last 2 careers, and that's an objective statement. And if you're dumb enough to piss off an attention whore like me by suing me, well done. I will milk this shit for hours and days and weeks until it becomes so annoying that you simply do not want to engage with me. Anywho,
that's a battle of attrition right there. Yeah.
So Corey Haik, she was previously at a company called Mike. Mike was a former it was a millennial focused publication in like the late 2000s. And it was really good. It was like young, hip. It was good. It was good stuff. And it wasn't perfect, but it was still putting out really interesting, thoughtful journalism. And then something happened where Facebook started showing big numbers, specifically big engagement times on certain videos. And so the natural thing was for people with small brains and bad intentions to shift to something called the pivot to video.
Oh, yeah.
Where they said, we're going to be the video first people. We're going to get traffic on social, and people are going to watch the shit out of these videos. So a few questions. Number one, Well, it's not really. You might be asking these questions to me. Number one, Corey, great idea and all that. But first question for me. How are we going to make any money off of that? Where is the money coming from if they're watching a video we made on another platform where we cannot show them ads? You put the ads in the front of the video. Cool, but they can't click through to anything. It's a video. And at that point, she would have thrown me out of her office. Now, she drove Mike into the ground. Mike shut down after having to lay off everyone because guess fucking what? The site was not making money. Eventually, it came out, by the way, that Facebook was wrong about these numbers. People were not watching these videos that long. It was a mistake.
If I'm wrong, but they weren't just wrong, but they
got sued.
They were being deceptive, right?
They were.
Yes.
That was part of the thing is they lied. They intentionally inflated and lied about how much engagement.
Well, it wasn't that they intentionally. They didn't do it intentionally. And what they did was they basically had an earlier cutoff. It was something like, if someone watched a video for more than a second, it was considered longer than it was. It was something really bad.
That sounds really familiar, by the way.
But Facebook ended up knowing about this for a lot longer than they let on, and then it came out only after they were just we have to admit this, and then they got sued, and a lot of the documents came out as part of that lawsuit. Now, you would think after driving this company into the ground, Corey would find no job. Incorrect. She was immediately hired as an executive at Vice, a company that she, along with other idiots, drove into the ground by making it grow at all costs. Vice at one point had thousands of people working for it, over 1,000 people at least, maybe even 2,000. It was a ridiculous amount of people. And they did a sponsorship with the Saudi government. It's just fucking insane. So you had this two-part company. You had journalists like Matthew Gault or Jason Kobler, people who've gone on to found 404 Media, a worker-owned tech site. You had guys like these doing just incredible, thoughtful journalism. You had people in Siberian camps tracking North Korean miners. You had there was people in the early days of the original Crimean War. You had really thoughtful journalism, and then on the other side, you had this big, stupid, lossy company full of executives being paid 6 and 7 figure salaries to do fucking nothing, desperately trying to hire people and sell new shit, making branded content that nobody watched for assholes who didn't care. And eventually, them corporate malfeasance fell apart around them because money is not infinite. And so Vice had to lay off people over the course of a few years. They basically were doing layoffs every year at one point. And they were doing it because the company was run by fuckwits who cannot count or read or write and have no respect for the journalistic process. Vice, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, had to announce that they would no longer they wouldn't be publishing anything on Vice.com anymore.
Jesus
Christ. Their website. And then they laid off all of their writers. Now, Corey Hike is still the COO there, I believe, and she got $700,000 last year. That's what she got. She got that's what she got paid for running this company into the ground. In a just society, there would be just no way that she would ever get hired again. She'll probably be hired by a new media company within the next month.
How do these people, of course, I know because they're well connected and they have a lot of money, but how, I don't understand how there can be just a continuing trend of all of these companies getting bought, gouged out and tossed aside, and all of these people still have jobs. How is this a cycle that continues?
Because the people investing the money don't know any actual people who do work. They don't know anyone who works. They don't know anyone who writes. The people they know are other rich assholes who sit around toughing their own farts and talking about new media and shit.
Mm-hmm. And
they are people that and they don't want to hear anything you're going to need a few years to build an audience, but once you build that, this thing will basically print money. What they want to hear is new media is the future, and if we do this, it's going to be a 40x return on investment. Now, you may think as well, what 40x return in what manner? And at that point, they'll get very upset and start asking you to leave, because the only way Vice could have ever made any return on investment, because it was perpetually losing money. Also, there was a deal at one point with investors where they would get dividends from the company, regardless of the company's financial health. So the company would just be bleeding money and they'd be sending investors money. Just fucking insane.
Yeah. It's really
the
sad.
40x return, that's not coming from anywhere unless you take the company public or you sell it to someone else. And no one was going to buy this fucking dog. No one. They desperately wanted an IPO. Or did they IPO? Did they IPO? No, BuzzFeed IPO'd, and it was BuzzFeed that IPO'd, and that was another company run into the ground by fuckwits.
Yeah.
Fucking BuzzFeed.
Yeah, that one was stunning because at one point that was like on top of the world of just like everyone either knew about BuzzFeed or used it every day.
But it's the same problem though, because BuzzFeed started and they were very good at getting Google traffic and they were good at viral content and they were very good at finding these things. So what they did was they said, what if we hired hundreds of people? What if we hired hundreds of people and we tried to grow to this big, and growth was all we cared about? And guess what? That does not work. Journalism does not scale that well. That's the thing that no one wants. They all want to have, and this is kind of the thrust of the podcast as well, they all want to have a startup style return. They want it to be, we invest $1 million and we get $100 million back. The problem
just invest
with that is
invest in Bitcoin. Like, lose your money in Bitcoin.
Had they invested in Bitcoin, they'd be doing better.
Yeah, probably.
So the thing that makes me really angry is I could probably name you 100 journalists that you could hire in groups of 10 and set up little defectors or aftermaths, and you would print money in 3 years. Each one of them would make you so much cash because there is so many good journalists that can make great journalism institutions. My best example, when Engadget was in its heyday, a few of the people, Josh Topolsky, Nilay Patel, Ross Miller, Joanna Stern, they all went away and they founded a website called This Is My Next. It was originally kind of meant to be exactly what it sounds like. It's my next phone, my next laptop. Now that site then became The Verge. And it was part of Vox Media, and Vox Media has fucked up a few things, but The Verge, Nilay Patel's he's a legend. He fought for that site's independence and he continues to fight for it while actually growing it. And the reason it keeps growing well is because Nilay Patel actually writes shit. He actually creates content. He's up for an award for his podcast. He's a good journalist. He's a former lawyer. He's actually practiced. He knows what he's fucking talking about. When you give the keys to people who actually do the work, you make money. You make money off this shit. The Messenger was the other one that I forgot. That was the one, this outlet that popped up and they hired like 300 people and they made them post an insane amount of stories a day while spending $9 million on real estate that no one used. And then it shut down and they didn't give anyone severance. Or Jimmy Finkelstein, real scumbag. Fucking hell. Fucking hell. It's just... And that's the thing. I want to say their names because I think that that's the problem. When these things happen, everyone gets mad at the thing happening, but they don't know the people who did it. And you need to say their names enough because shame is the only thing that will get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to hear any law breaking. I don't break laws.
No, whenever these like news sites get shattered and a bunch of people lose their jobs, I'll always find out because a bunch of journalists are posting on Twitter like, "Hey, I lost my job," and like sometimes they will be like, "This is like," they'll be very honest about why, and it's usually like the shareholders are like what you're talking about, these companies being owned by all these like malicious investors and all that like bullshit. But I feel like, yeah, that's not always the story. Like, it's usually I just say like, oh, I lost my job, I would love to do more journalism.
Yeah, it's very depressing, and these people are friends of mine and I read them. But I think another big problem, really the ultimate problem, is these people who own these websites are also not the customer. They're not they're not listening to podcasts, they're not reading shit. They're not writing shit. They're not part of any meaningful part of the process. They don't give a fuck about the journalism. They care about the clicks and they care about the prestige. They like breaking news because they can say that was my fucking outlet. They don't give a fuck about the actual work for the breaking news. And it's just so fucking loathsome because guess what? You'd be the single most popular person if you just funded one of these things and did nothing else. You come in, you buy more pizza every Friday, you'll be considered a god.
If only the people that ran all these companies were that like
if
humble.
I had several $100 million, that would be what I do. Just journalism and pizza parties.
Max Tani at what's it called? What's the name of that website? Semaphore. Max Tani at Semaphore, who's like their media reporter. He's a great media reporter. Did like a postmortem on Spotify's podcast arm, and there was a passage in it that even I didn't know when I worked there, which is Dawn Ostroff, who was an old media hire that was my boss's boss's boss. She was way the fuck up there. She was the person who was doing like their global podcast strategy, was apparently a huge fan of NFTs and insisted on sinking tons and tons of money into a Bored Apes podcast that never got off the ground.
Fucking way, dude. Oh, why are all of these people
now we know
so
why you're really mad, because you wanted to host it.
There's something wrong with all of these people's brains. Like every person you could, like everyone that you could talk to, like no normal person thought NFTs were a good thing. Or
the perfect
something
example
that
of that was the Jimmy Fallon Paris Hilton when they're like holding up their pictures of Bored Apes and like on whatever on a show, and people are like confused and like they're kind of clapping.
They look like they were being held hostage.
Yeah, dude. There was people with guns pointing at all the audience and everybody there. It just was so. I remember watching that and like I felt like I just got hit by a truck because I just like had the concussed feeling of like I just like when I played football as a kid or something, right? Like, so this feels wrong. Something is viscerally wrong about this. And like, it kind of was like they were trying to like force you to accept this thing and nobody really was. I just don't know how you could, even if you're a business executive, have seen that moment specifically and be like, yep, that's the thing. Because it was the most awkward shit I've fucking ever seen on TV.
Yeah, no, that moment, that interview with what was it, Paris Hilton and Jimmy Fallon, whoever, like that is going to be of like one of the most uncanny interviews of all time. Like I still think about that and I like shiver. I shiver thinking about it. Genuinely.
You just felt like you just like received some sort of Witcher 3-esque like Eastern European medieval curse. Like it just felt wrong to experience.
There's a damage over time spell on you now.
Like they switched, like that. Those aren't the real two people. The aliens took them out and replaced them and put them in front. Like it was like them trying to communicate for the first time in front of people. And it was that's how it feels. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's I don't know.
That's all to say, Alex, that your boss's boss's boss had insanely bad instincts.
Yeah. I wish that got made. I genuinely wish.
Man,
oh fuck!
I do too.
The world needs a Bored Apes podcast, an official Spotify Bored Apes podcast.
I'm positive that there are just some super fans that did one. Oh, we got.
I'm sure that that's the time to let's Google this Bored Ape podcast.
I need that injected straight to my veins. That's going to be so good.
2 Bored Apes NFT podcast. 3,451 followers.
Ooh, okay.
Stinky.
Let's see.
I'm going to be listening to that.
They have not posted
right
an
after
episode
this.
since January. What is this? 15 months in hell?
What happened? What happened in January? Yeah. What happened?
Wait, they're now claiming they were back, but I guess they just don't update their website.
Oh, what could they possibly talk about anymore?
Well, episode 87, which by the way was published November 16th, 2023, and then the next one didn't come to 2024, so it must be tough coming up with shit. Okay, they claimed they were back, but their podcast feed has nothing. Guess who's back? That's right. 2 Bored Apes podcast has returned after 6 whole weeks. Sorry, this is a post from 2023. Yeah, this podcast is dead.
Yeah, no. So right after this is I'm gonna go listen to that.
Yeah, I want to listen to like the last episode. Like this awful content.
But no. So I was just gonna ask Alex. So when did with what you did at Spotify? When did they do they not do podcasts anymore? Because I thought they had like Joe Rogan. Do they have don't they have stuff happening still? Like
they do have stuff happening.
Podcasts?
So what they've done is they've shut down all their narrative stuff, including like shows that had not all of it, but most of it. So what they've done is they've shut down basically, they got rid of Heavyweight, which was like an award-winning, fantastic podcast after basically making it Spotify only. So it lost tons of listeners. And so then they were like, oh, you don't have any listeners, so we're going to cancel your show. So they got rid of
Amazing.
That. Fucking crazy.
The con is on.
They got rid of all of the narrative shows, but they also bought The Ringer, which is a Bill Simmons sports empire. And that is a lot of low cost, high return podcasts. So that remains, that's still successful. And then they're doing, what everybody else is doing. They're doing a lot of like true crime stuff, daily stuff, celebrity stuff. So they still got Joe Rogan. They still got Dax Shepard. And they're doing stuff like that. I think
they
the only other show
the
they have,
smartless guy's money.
yeah,
Like $100 million.
I think the only show they have is that's still like a daily or regular news show. They have Science Versus, which is a science show, and then they have like the Wall Street Journal's version of The Daily. They produce that. Other than that, it's all just like true crime stuff and celebrity stuff.
Bleak. That's so bleak.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean,
They've got Murderinos and Bill Simmons.
anyone who makes a sporting podcast these days.
Murderinos.
No.
I still can't get over that name.
Okay, let's move to the next thing. And this is actually the reason, and I apologize for coming on the tail end of the episode here. The reason that I wanted to have you on was your recent Substack article about the descent of Elon Musk, which is a great read. And we always have to give the occasional update on how our friend of the show, Elon Musk, is doing. So
Yeah.
It was same thing. Pitch the article or tell us about the article, and then we'll kind of go through it a little bit.
So this thing was somehow 4,100 words. And I said in like November of last year, I'm not going to write another 3,000 word newsletter. I have since then not written a single newsletter under 3,000 words. I have a problem. But okay, so the long and short of this very long article is that there was a ruling a couple weeks ago. Or maybe it was.
We talked about it on the show a little bit.
Yeah. So
yeah.
the fact that Elon's pay package has been thrown out, $50 billion of stock options he no longer has access to. The most interesting part of that was not the money, though. The money is bad. The best part, though, and the funniest part, is that his board now has to reorganize. In practice, because right now his board is made up of people who look like Bebop and Rocksteady, who allegedly he according to the Wall Street Journal, he apparently like bullies them into doing drugs. They feel pressured to do drugs, which is
with Elon.
You can imagine how fucking lame you must be if Elon Musk's like, yeah, no, you need to do ketamine.
If I had to do drugs with Elon Musk, I probably would kill myself.
Yeah, that is
that sounds like the most rancid experience.
You need to do ketamine with me and watch me play Diablo.
He's going to stream it on X. The everything.
I'm going to be on it.
Oh god.
On in 480p in the world's smallest window. But so the thing is with that is his board being independent of him is fucking scary, because the company and the Delaware Chancery Court, the discovery on that was incredible, and it showed that just the board was completely beholden to him. When he negotiated this $50 billion pay packet, he did so without really negotiating. They were like trying to please him, and the judges, it was a very long opinion on this, but the judges, long and short of the judges' thing was just, it didn't feel like they were actually trying to come up with a reason to give him this other than that he wanted it. And so with that going away, Elon Musk has lost power at Tesla. The board hasn't said anything since this decision happened. Another fun fact, Elon Musk has over $40 billion of his Tesla stock used as collateral for loans. So this is bad for a number of reasons. Most of Elon's wealth is made up of Tesla stock. If he's using $40 billion of it as collateral, there's a decent chance that he's borrowed far more than $40 billion. And these are all personal loans,
and
by the way.
Are those all for Twitter? Like the Twitter purchase? No. Okay.
No, but that's the real scary part. It's not for Twitter. This is just his fucking lifestyle. This is just Elon Musk's walking around money.
Oh my God.
So Tesla makes up about half of his wealth. The rest of it is split up between 3 or 4 different cons, like the Boring Company, Twitter, and Starlink is part of SpaceX, which makes up the other large chunk. Basically, SpaceX is about 77 billion, Twitter's about, Twitter's like 4 billion now. Boring Company's 2 or 3. XAI is maybe 2-3 billion. And Tesla, I think all told, is like 77 billion, but that includes the stock options, which he no longer has. And an independent board is very unlikely to give him $50 billion of options.
Good.
On top of that, he has now got 2 different businesses that just bleed capital. Twitter, as we all know, you remember that website?
I just wanted to cut in really
Twitter
quick.
just
Your joke about him streaming Diablo that's not a joke. Like, you guys, I don't know.
No,
he has an alt account called Cyber Gamer, where the E's are 3s. Cyber Gamer 420, where he streams.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's real.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah. Cyber Gamer
Diablo on there.
420.
Yes.
This is the most depressing thing I have ever seen in my goddamn life.
It's just the name of the account is just Gamer, and it
Yeah,
literally is
Gamer.
only Diablo 4. Like, you just scroll to the 7 streams you did.
It's the most
They're-
miserable goddamn shit too. There's like a
And
test
they're all
video
like
that looks
3
awful.
hours long.
Yeah.
It's so
Okay, no, he's
fucking
just
good.
doing like 10-minute long clips, but there was one he did that was 3 hours long.
Yeah.
Gamer,
Gamer.
like a
Fucking hell,
wild
mate.
live stream.
Cyber Gamer 420.
Go out
Yeah.
and have sex. I don't know. Do anything else. You could pay people to act out Diablo for you. You have enough money. So
That's the one thing that's so funny about him is how, like, this is the behavior that I exhibit when I'm in a depressive state. You know,
Yeah.
I have problems with depression, and like, if you see me like making an alt account to stream a game, you got to check up on me. Like, no one is
Yeah.
checking up on Elon.
No. He's
Well,
so
but-
miserable. He's so miserable.
Oh, I wish I could get his number. I'd just be texting him. You all right? Yeah, Elon, I read that tweet.
His
going on,
likes
mate?
are very funny too. It's just like there's 3 likes, and one of them is like a guy being like, "Oh man, what a cool stream that has 2 likes." Because like nobody follows this, by the way, which is also very funny. Not even his imbecile cronies are liking this. And then one of them is something Cybertruck related, and then the first one is just Ian Miles Chung responding to him saying, "Sup, Elon." Those are his only likes on here.
I do really enjoy whenever Elon does like a side account. They hardly ever pop off. Like, no one cares.
And nobody gives a shit about this. No one wants fucking Elon Musk play Diablo.
To
Call
continue
your
my
children.
point, though,
Yeah.
So, Twitter burning money. When he acquired it, he was saying it was losing $4 million a day. Now, this is also an unreliable narrator, but Twitter is certainly not making money. Twitter, years before he bought it, was still losing like $200 million a year. I'm going to guess it's losing more now. He has to pay $1 billion a year in interest on Twitter. The website is getting worse. There is no turning this bad boy around. This thing's fucked. Outside of an acquisition, which he won't sell because that would mean he would admit he was wrong, he is now absolutely fucked. There's nothing he can do with this. He can only try and steer it out of the toilet or accelerate into it. No real choice otherwise.
What becomes of the website what is the failure point? Does it get sold? Does it shut down? Like, what happens?
I think it's far more likely it dwindles into irrelevancy. I don't think he ever sells it. I think it just becomes such a pile of shit that he just
Has he paid back all of his Twitter-related loans, or can he still be?
No,
forced
he's just
out of
paying the
CEO?
interest on it.
No, he
He's
still owes
just paying
$13 billion.
I'm getting to that. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Okay, so
No,
you don't
but-
think
but-
there's a possibility where he gets forced off of this?
He might sell it if the banks are particularly rude to him, but he's also capable of renegotiating that debt, but he will still be sitting in a pile of his own shit.
No, I
Putting
don't
that
think.
aside, though.
I don't think Twitter will ever die, because whenever I make a post, there's like 7 different women telling me that their pussies are in their bio. So there's gonna be people around. There'll always be users.
That's real engagement. When Elon says Twitter engagement is up, it's all pussy and bio bots. That, by the way, don't courtesy fave. If you're gonna post pussy and bio, at least give me the courtesy fave. That's my biggest problem here.
Yeah, I do love how they're evolving. They're like crazy pussy and bio.
Yeah.
They're like there was
Whimsical
one I saw,
pussy and bio.
yeah, I saw one that said
Vociferous
lame.
pussy and bio.
My favorite one is my treacherous oblong in bio.
No, that one's. I
Observe
gotta
it
say,
now.
I think that's a guy. That is a guy, or someone doing a new horse ebook style scam.
Oh, you think so? Fuck. I'll keep an
Yeah,
eye
I've
on that
read a
person.
lot of his posts now. This is not. This isn't automated. This is someone who is actually possibly like a very good poster. Like they're doing something, but my treacherous
Yeah, this is
oblong
like
in
Neil
bio,
Gaiman's
observe
poster.
it now, is one of the funniest things I've ever read.
Yeah, really good. Really, really fucking
But
good.
okay, but back to how Elon's burning his house down. So connected to Twitter is a separate company, XAI. XAI is the creator of Grok, the supposed anti-woke generative AI competitor to ChatGPT from OpenAI that is actually weirdly woke, which is not good for Elon. The big problem here is that Elon is a hungry, greedy little piglet, and he cannot see Meta and Amazon and all these other companies buy a bunch of NVIDIA chips without wanting to buy some himself. So he's investing hundreds of millions of dollars into new chips for his company XAI, and he wants to develop a generative AI himself. You may wonder at what point money comes out of this. Well, money does come out of it. Yeah, it comes out of your wallet to keep it alive, because generative AI does not make money. ChatGPT, unprofitable. Claude, unprofitable. Grok, unprofitable. And what's great about it is he's given it to anyone who will pay him $8 or $16. I forget how they actually do it. That's not going to help much more. The more people that use it, the more expensive it gets. So he's desperately trying to rush to compete with companies run by competent people with bigger staffs and who aren't very annoying. So he's currently burning money with Twitter, burning money on this AI thing, and has this massive debt load, this insanely large debt load. But not to worry, right? Tesla is a growth at all costs company. They're gangbusters. They're doing great. All of his money's tied to Tesla, so he should be fine, right? Except Tesla's growth has slowed. Tesla is, there's a guy called Colin Langan, who's the automotive analyst over at Wells Fargo. He referred to them as a growth company without growth. And what that means in practice is he says that Tesla's growth is going to plateau and their revenue is going to plateau in 2024, and in 2025 it's going to drop. Now, Tesla's biggest problem right now is that they have tried to grow in pretty much one way, which is cutting prices. Autos are already not a margin-heavy business, and so he's cut basically to the point that he can't cut anymore, but also the cuts aren't making the stock go up. The stock is not rising with the cuts.
Would that technically like is that would that normally happen for a company like this?
It happened every other time. It's worked in the past, but the problem is they're cutting to the bone at this point. On top of this, there is, unlike the last time that Tesla was really in trouble, which was coming up to the launch of the Model 3, which is their cheaper car. Last time they had something to look forward to. They were like, they nearly went bankrupt, according to Elon. Again, who knows if that's true. Nearly went bankrupt, but they were doing it in service of this vehicle that has actually been fairly disruptive to the EV space. It was a $35,000, $40,000 EV. It is one of the most commercially successful vehicles ever. This time, well, got the Cybertruck, I guess.
Oh God! And we all know how that one's going. It's rusting already.
It's rusting, but also it's an unprofitable vehicle that nobody wants. It's not a good truck. It's not a good car. Barely, it looks stupid. It gets made fun of all the time. It went from the Model S that was like kind of a cultural icon, like people like, oh, a cool new slick EV, to this like boxy flashback looking ass car. And on top of that, what other revenue lines has Tesla got? Oh, the Tesla semis. You want to know how many semis they've sold? Less than 100.
Seriously, I don't even know it. I don't even know what the semi is.
Bad.
Wait, they're like semi trucks. They're
apparently
they're
it's
disgusting.
good. That's the crazy thing. Apparently they're good. They're
God,
economical with fuel. They are easy to drive. People seem to like them. They charge fast. They made less than 100 of them.
I have never seen one of these ever.
That's because there's 100 of them. Like that's less than 100. There's like most of them are owned by Pepsi, and Pepsi likes them. But they're also difficult to make, and no one appears to want to buy them also. So you would think, well, it's Elon Musk, right? He can just go out and say, new Teslas will fly in 2026. The Teslas will take off and fly around the country. It'll take 2 minutes to get to Paris from New York. And everyone's like, holy fucking shit. That's no longer working. This is no longer working because the man sits on Twitter all day being like, well, the immigrants are stealing all my chairs in my house, and it's very bad. And he just posts this insane racist stuff. And the street can take a certain degree of that. But when your company is slowing down, when your tricks are no longer working. Elon can't just say something and the stock pops anymore. He can't. It doesn't work. And at this point, Tesla's board is really going to move against him. They're going to say, I wouldn't be surprised, because they need to get at least 3 new board members. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point someone says, maybe we need to get rid of this annoying asshole. This
that would be
who brings
the
us
best day of my life. Oh my God.
Because the thing is as well, is even if they don't, Tesla stock is going down. It's down like 30% since the beginning of the year. It's not really going any. When Wells Fargo is like, I don't know about this, that's not great. Wedbush, who are just fucking idiots sometimes, they've reduced their target from 315 a share to 300. Tesla's currently 175. But you know when those fart sniffers are saying, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Things are bad. But also, the only reason they've kept him around so long was that his name sold these fucking vehicles.
Yeah, not anymore. Now he just talks about wokeness coming across the border
but that's
all
the
day.
thing.
Yeah.
They want a boring CEO. It's gonna be similar but crazier than the Uber situation when they had to get rid of Travis Kalanick and replace him with the Expedia guy, whose only job is to go to meetings and go like, we're going to increase profit by 4% in the next 2 years. And everyone's like, brilliant. That's all I want to fucking hear. Just don't do anything weird. But also, some of the fear of getting rid of him was that doing so would trash Tesla's brand. Now, Elon Musk's Twitter account is doing that for them. Now, if Musk loses power at Tesla, he also loses the ability to keep this where it is, because Tesla is overvalued. Everyone has been saying it for years. His con is kind of falling apart, and he doesn't really have any other options. And so we're in this crazy situation now where it isn't obvious how quickly it will go, but this guy is in actual real trouble. $40 billion of collateralized loans. $40 billion of collateral offered up for loans is bad. Even if I don't know how this loan would work, he was only getting $20 billion out of that. If he needs that much liquid capital, he is low on actual funds. And also, if he signs loans like he signed for the Twitter deal, he signs dog shit loans. Twitter is like 10 point something percent. And it is unthinkable that Elon Musk could go broke. And perhaps he wouldn't actually go broke. But if he loses Tesla, he can't just fucking... he would junk his shares and crash the price out of spite.
I mean, if he loses Tesla, what else? I mean, he has SpaceX, but then how long would that last, right? Like, it would be, I feel like it would be like a dominoes situation.
But also, is a New York Times story that just came out, because these people don't fucking read. And this story says, a pivot to China saved Elon Musk. It also binds him to Beijing. Fun fact about the Shanghai factory for Tesla. They had to drop production from 6.5 days a week to 5 days a week because not enough people are buying their cars.
Yeah, you don't want to see that at a factory. Lowered production is usually the first sign of something bad to come.
Is it good when demand is lower than supply? Is that good? I think it's good. Yeah. So the only other question mark is SpaceX. Now, SpaceX is a different beast. They're a private company. They're worth about $170 billion. He has like 70-something billion dollars of stock. Starlink, the satellite internet company within SpaceX, is actually profitable. It's making money for them. And it's also not run by Elon Musk. Gwynne Shotwell, the president, COO, she basically runs the joint. And there is apparently a conversation between her and someone at NASA where they went, oh, fucking thank God. When she was like, no, Elon doesn't do anything. He borrowed $1 billion from them to buy Twitter, though. That was a fun thing. He paid it back, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is crazy. But that's also probably because they were like, you will pay this shit back.
yeah. Or like they'd kick him out.
So he could potentially leverage his stock from SpaceX, but because SpaceX is so inherently tied to national security, there is going to be a little more scrutiny over that. A little more scrutiny over the rockets to send people to the moon for the United States, potentially. And so also the other problem is it's a private company. Those shares are only worth as much as someone can sell them. And if it's a private company, selling them is more difficult. He also was banking very hard on Starlink spinning out and IPOing. Gwynne Shotwell already said that is not going to happen anytime in the future. So right now, he is going crazier. And the Don Lemon interview, which I opened the newsletter with, I don't know if any of you watched it. It's so funny. There's a bit in it where he gets asked, like, how is X good for news? And he just sits there going, like, well, yeah, you find news in the replies. And
yeah, the news in the replies was probably the most insane thing I have ever seen him say.
That was around the Great Replacement theory, where he was like, well, Don, if you check out the replies. And Don fucking Lemon, not exactly our modern day Socrates, is like, well, that's just people posting stuff online, Elon. And he's just like, and he was like, well, it's the same thing. It's like it's the fucking drill post. It's the drill post about I have read thousands of posts. It's the same thing, except he's not funny and people don't like him.
Yeah, like if you went to any place that has any sort of standards, like even in high school, there's higher standards for like information that you use that's reputable than the richest man in the world uses to change his worldviews. You know, like high schoolers have better standards than him.
But yeah, long and short of it is, and I've called the end of Elon Musk before, and perhaps I was early before, but this is now a situation that could actually destroy him. Him losing the power over Tesla and his ability to manipulate that stock is remarkable, and it's bad for him. And it could lead to him going extra special fucking crazy. And someone like this, and I don't know Elon Musk, never met him, but I've met people who have too much money and spend too much on top of it, and he will do a crazy loan. He's going to do some kind of stupid loan, and he is going to keep leveraging, and there is going to be some feathers are going to fly. I can't wait, because he is going to go completely and utterly nuts here. I will probably get a few thousand more words just off of the tweets he makes when Tesla's board goes fully independent.
I've been hoping for the downfall of Elon for so long. Oh my God. I hope it happens in 2024.
But also,
how long do you give
Elon?
Med?
How long do I give him?
Yeah,
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Ah, that's too long.
3 years. It's going to be a very public and messy end for him. Especially, and here's a great sign that your website's doing well, by the way. Pinned to the top of Elon Musk's Twitter right now, which is, by the way, an account with, let's see, 178 million followers. It is the CEO, the second richest man in the world. Here's what he's tweeting. He's quoting, actually, someone I know called Bindu Reddy, who is just saying, still a large part, and this is Bindu in this case, saying, still a large part of my people in my real life circle get their news from traditional mainstream media. Frankly speaking, that terrifies me. Bindu, come on. You're smarter than this. They are consuming an extremely selective and biased version of reality. Anyway, Elon Musk is quote tweeting this saying, send x.com links to friends so that they know what's actually going on.
Just going to send my buddies. Just sending my buddies.
Please use my website.
Please use my website. I'm begging you.
Please.
He's pulling his pockets out of his jeans like the Monopoly guy, saying, please.
Oh, God. Yeah, just
broke ass surrender flags.
That's like the fifth tweet like that I've seen him make in the last month, in all of like March. At this point, he's so desperate. It's so funny.
I love him.
Like, okay, I think that's a good place to wrap it. We've got the next episode to record here tonight, anyway. Ed, what have you got to plug? What do you want to hit us with?
Oh God, please visit my website. Where's your ed.app for my newsletter? We're just 25,000 subscribers. Let's get to 30,000 by the end of the year. Let's turn this into an 100,000 monthly active users website.
1 billion ads.
1 billion ads.
Right now, can you come up with some what's her name, Linda Yaccarino style metrics that will make us want to invest in?
There are over 561 words read by Where's Your Ed at users every minute. But yeah, please visit that and go to betteroffline.com and click podcast, and it will go to the link tree. I know that's fucking convoluted, but betteroffline.com, go to the podcast, download all the episodes. Please rate it 5 stars, download every episode, leave them listening. Please give me these metrics. I need them. I need them, please.
Awesome.
We have some great shit coming. We got Wikipedia episode with Molly White coming up. She's a legend. That's going to be a more chill episode. And then I got one about the AI bubble that's really going to sizzle your pizzle.
Yeah, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the AI bubble to pop. That's going to be an interesting time when that finally hits. Yeah.
All right, Ed. Well, thank you. I'm going to plug some of our stuff because I don't know. I think we didn't talk about this, but I think this is going to be the main feed episode. So we have a lot of good stuff on our Patreon coming up. Some friends of our show, we are doing a little side spin-off thing on the Jersey Shore. We've recorded our second episode with June last night. Donald from Radio Free Tote Bag will be there and some other friends along the way. I think Alex is going to be on for the third and final episode. June's got some extra bonus content. And by the way, this is all stuff that's coming in addition to regularly scheduled programming. June's got a movie series coming up as well. And Ed and Arif and I are going to do a little football episode that's kind of a little spinoff that we're working on. More to come on that. So patreon.com/Western Kabuki, lots of extras. So you get the bonus episode every week, plus more coming in April.
Yeah, if you are a supporter of the Patreon, you're going to get a lots of goodies coming
hours
up.
and hours of extra content coming up on top of the stuff you're already getting, just by virtue of the fact that you are a subscriber. So now it's my turn to pull out my pockets and pull out the surrender flag and say, please, 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 please go to patreon.com/Western Kabuki. Thank you so much.
See ya.
That's it for this week's episode of Western Kabuki, but over on our Patreon, we have a conversation with Maya Arsenkraimu, who is a hacker who's probably best known for releasing the United States government's no-fly list. It's an amazing conversation. She's really incredible. And, $5 a month, you will get to hear that, and you'll get to hear Caleb talk about Jersey Shore. We contain multitudes over here. That's patreon.com/Western Kabuki. We hope to see you there. Thanks so much for listening.